Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Babbling Irons video with myself and Sloth today. What's going to be considered successful for Julen Lopetegui this season, Sloth? Because there's a lot of change happening. There's a lot of moving parts, moving components, completely new restructuring and direction at the football club happening. But we also expected to perform on the pitch when the season starts. Obviously, no European football, so we can't really factor that into what's going to be successful anymore. But we've obviously got the league, we've got the FA Cup, we've got the League Cup, and we've got just the overall application of what we will consider a successful season for Julen Lopetegui in his first season at charge. So let's start with a big one. Premier League, massively competitive area now with a lot of teams and a lot of clubs building in the right direction. And, getting into that top 6, top 8, top 10, it's becoming a very difficult task. What's considered success for Julen Lopetegui in his first season in the Premier League for you?
I think it's got to be Europa football. I think like the Conference League. I think that I think you've got to set your targets high. I think you've got to be ambitious. And when we have players like Bowen, Kudus, Paqueta, Alvarez, you've got to aim high. You can't afford not to, because if you don't aim high, they will be off. They will be aiming for a move when a window opens. So I think top
7.
Top 7, I think is sort of the bare minimum for a good season, which I know might sound incredibly
That's high.
It is, but as I mentioned, I do think that if we were to finish in the Conference League, although we would still have a form of European football, these are players who want to play at the top, and I do think that you would perhaps struggle to hold on to them.
Do you think finishing 8th or 8th or lower then is considered an unsuccessful season?
Only if you don't have a cup run. If you have a cup run and you do well in a cup, or if you win a cup, who knows? If he wins a cup,
well, you get Europe, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, exactly. If you win a cup, I think he'll be considered success. But I think you still have to finish at least sort of middle of the table or 10th, because if you don't, then I think you'll still get a few mentions of Moyes in the Conference League, regardless of what happens. And, we were very critical with the squad that we had, that he should have done a better job in the league. And I think it's only fair to apply the same measure to Lopetegui. And I think if he didn't finish 10th or higher, regardless, that would be a slight failing.
Do you think expecting a manager to come in with a lot of moving parts, like we mentioned, and, it's a very difficult task coming in as manager and hitting the ground running, because you're changing so many different parts behind the scenes and the way you want to play. And, these players before Lopetegui joined have been so used to a different system that is pretty much the polar opposite of what Lopetegui plays like. So I don't know. I think top 7 would obviously be fantastic. It'd be a fantastic achievement to do that in your first season. Whether I would say anything below that is not successful, I don't know. I think a top 10 finish is success for his first season, depending on the rest of how the transfer window shapes up. We could go spend 500 million tomorrow and, bring in some quality players. Then it changes a little bit. Do I think we have the players and the capacity and capability to finish in the top 7? 100%. We've proven it. We've proven it over the last few years that we can do that. And I think last season we came very, very close to doing that. So I kind of agree with you. I'm going to say I 50% agree with you, 50% don't. I think we'll talk about the other cups in a second, but the Premier League is just so difficult now. You think about the clubs that are competing now. You've got City, Arsenal, Liverpool, United, Chelsea, Spurs, Newcastle. That's the kind of top 7. Then you've got us. Then you've got, say, Aston Villa. Then you've got Brighton. Then you've got Crystal Palace. Like, there's probably teams I'm forgetting there, but it's a very competitive market. And I think to get into the top 7, you'd have to have a very, very good season. But I do think it is doable because we don't have European football as well next season. I think we're going to see a different freshness to this squad if we can recruit right as well. So I think it would be a very successful season if we finish top 7. But I also think top 10, we can probably consider that a successful first season for Lopetegui in the Prem. Again, depends on the cup run. So let's do the FA Cup. What's our minimum expectation for the FA Cup this season? Because obviously we want to win everything. We want to win the Premier League. We want to win the FA Cup. But realistically, what would you say is a successful cup run in the FA Cup? This video is sponsored by Emotive. Emotive provide cutting-edge digital services, solutions, and training to companies and businesses of all sizes. Emotive have worked with some fantastic brands in the past, as you can see behind me, the likes of Apple, Google, Tesco, and of course, Babylon Irons. Emotive offer 4 key services, the first being digital solutions, the second being professional training and coaching, the third being fractional experts, and the fourth being AI readiness. We're going to be working with Emotive on our channel to improve how we showcase the data to you guys in our breakdown videos and data analysis videos. If you want to find out more information about how Emotive can work with you, make sure to scan the QR code now, which will take you to emotivetouch.com, where you can find out more details about the company, and the link will be in the description. A massive thank you to Emotive once again for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to it.
I think you have to be looking to get to at least the last sort of 16 of a competition. Like, I think that has to be, yes, I'd say that has to be sort of your goal. And again, like, I'm not saying that you can't sacrifice one cup for the better of the other, but it's just a case of, I think with the squad we have, the quality we have, and the ability to rotate in some of the quality youngsters that we have, and we've done a video on as well, so you can go and watch that. But if you have that squad, if you have that element of rotation and slightly less games this season, then I think that has to be where you're aiming for. And we can make a good run at a cup this season. So I would like us to get to at least sort of like the last 16 of both of them.
Yeah.
And then try and progress to at least one of them to sort of a quarterfinal or semi-final. Fingers crossed.
I think a top 10 finish and a trip to Wembley, whether that's a semi-final of the FA Cup, the final of the League Cup, that is a very decent first season for Lopetegui. I think with as you say, the less strain and less strenuous task of just playing Premier League football and cup football without Europe is going to make a massive difference. And these players have been conditioned and are used to playing Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday for the past 3 years, a lot of them. It's not going to be like that next season. And I think it's going to have a positive impact on the squad overall. And, it's just going to give us that chance to focus on building what we're trying to build and also going for a cup. There's no reason why we can't get, far in the FA Cup and the League Cup. Depends on the draw, of course. Normally we get kind of the difficult run in, but you got to beat these teams. We beat Arsenal last year in the Carabao Cup, then the next draw was like Anfield. So it's tough. You have to have a good run, obviously, but aside from the kind of tangible success of a league position and also, a cup place finish or whatever, what about the identity of how we play? What would you say? What are you expecting from this first season? Because we know transitions can take time for styles. Are we expecting everyone to be up to pace with how Lopetegui wants to play and everyone on song within season 1?
I think there was, look, if you listen to rumours, there was a bit of a pushback against how David Moyes was playing at times. And I think that the majority of that squad will have wanted to play more expansive football, but have the ball a lot more and be less reliant on sitting back.
Yeah.
And I think that these players will be up for it. Even the youngsters. You saw Potts come out and talk about. Was it Potts who was saying about?
I think it was Orford and someone else. One of the youngsters. It may have been Potts, maybe Murphy. One of them.
Yeah, one of the youngsters was talking about how basically he feels like he's going to get more of a chance this season. Yeah. And I think that is also a big boost to have. So I think they will be looking to show what they've got. I think the players will be wanting to impress Lopetegui as well. And they will be well up for the challenge of trying a new style of football. So I personally don't think that's something that you have to worry too much about, because
it's not easy. It's not easy to click, is it, Sloth? We've seen, how, again, we found it difficult to press teams last season and the season before that and the season before that. So it's something new. You're learning how to play a certain position and you're kind of looking at the game in a different light. I don't want to bring this up, but Declan Rice said the exact same thing within the first 2 months of Arsenal. He's like, I watched football in a completely different light. It's probably a load of rubbish, to be honest, because I don't believe a word he says anymore. But I'm over it. I'm over it. But there is an element of truth to it, isn't there? It's we're going to have to learn structurally how to play a little bit different. I have no doubt that they want to do it. It's just getting the application right will take some time. Do you think that we'll be able to do that in season one, completely throughout the squad and have a coherent structure and press and, identity that we can say that is the West Ham identity?
I think it's going to be far easier when you have players of the quality of Paqueta, Kudus, Bowen, and Alvarez and Kilman and Emerson, players who are used to switching up their styles.
Yeah.
Particularly those internationals, Souček and Soufal as well, let's not forget. But these are players who are used to adapting to different coaches and playing different styles of football when it comes to their international sides. So I think it should be something that we can not expect an easy adaptation, but I think we should be expecting these players to perform. And look, it might take a couple of games. It might well be something that Lopetegui needs a few weeks or a little bit longer to make sure that his stamp is fully on that side.
Yeah.
But I think we've got to have certain expectations with the quality players we have.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's going to be interesting to see how we start because we have some difficult fixtures to begin the season, to be fair. So again, I'll be interested to see how Lopetegui himself as well adapts to the bigger games against the harder teams like a Man City or a Liverpool away or an Arsenal, something like that, because we want to see that versatility. He said that in his, when he joined the club in his interviews, that he's not just going to be rigid in one way of playing. He's also got the flexibility and the dynamic, approach of changing depending on a situation and having that in-game management as well. So I'm excited, man. I think it's getting to the point now where things are bubbling up. We've obviously had a couple preseason games. We're out in America at the moment, so it's starting to become a little bit more real now that Premier League football is only 2 or 3 weeks away. So yeah, I think as a whole, I think if we could get in for qualify for Europe next season, that would be massive success for Lopetegui in his first season. And we absolutely have the players to do it and the resource to do it. So now we're a few signings short of that, but I think we're pretty close on it, and we've made a good signing in Kilman and improved the core strength of this squad. And I think we have players that are easily top 6, top 4 ability in Paqueta, Kudus, Bowen, Alvarez, as you mentioned, Emerson, Kilman. These players are very, very good footballers, very high quality. So yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting one. There's a lot of competition, but what would you guys consider success for Lopetegui next season? We've had our thoughts. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed the breakdown, make sure to leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel for more content as we're posting daily. And yeah, it's off. Until the next one.
Come on, you irons.